The year is 1961. A man walks into a room in New Haven, Connecticut, and signs a release form. He is a teacher. Or, at least, he believes he is. The man in the lab coat across from him explains the rules clearly. For every wrong answer the learner gives, the teacher must administer an electric shock. The shocks increase by 15 volts each time. The learner is in the next room. The teacher can hear him, but cannot see him. The first shock is harmless. The learner barely reacts. But as the voltage climbs, the screams begin at AT 120 volts. The learner shouts that his heart is bothering him at AT 285 volts. He screams that he cannot stand the pain at AT 300 volts. He pounds on the wall and demands to be released. Then silence. The man in the lab coat does not flinch. He simply tells the teacher to continue. The experiment must go on. And the teacher, an ordinary man who answered a newspaper ad, keeps pressing the lever. He sweats. He trembles. He asks if he should stop, but the lab coat says continue. So he continues, all the way to 450 volts. Twice. The maximum voltage on the machine. The learner was never actually being shocked. He was an actor. The real subject of the experiment was the teacher. And the horrifying discovery was this. 65% of participants delivered the maximum voltage, not because they were sadists, not because they were monsters, but because a man in a gray lab coat told them to. This is the Milgram Experiment, and it is the single most disturbing proof of what lives inside your brain right now. A switch that flips the moment someone looks like they are in charge. And that switch has not gone away. It has simply changed uniforms. By the end of this video, you will know exactly how to spot when this switch is being flipped on you and how to stop it. Fast forward to today. You are at an airport. A man in a blue shirt with an official badge tells you to step into a secondary screening room. You do not ask for his credentials. You do not ask why. You comply. You are at a hospital. A person in scrubs with a stethoscope draped around their neck tells you to take medication you have never heard of. You ask fewer questions than you would ask a waiter about the ingredients in your soup. You are pulled over on a highway. The officer asks to search your trunk. You know you have the legal right to refuse. You know about probable cause. But you say yes anyway, because the uniform is speaking louder than your own judgment. This is not a flaw in your character. This is a feature of your biology. Humans are herd animals with hierarchy hardwired into our nervous systems. For 200,000 years, our survival depended on swift, unquestioning coordination within groups. The alpha made the call. The tribe followed. Those who questioned too much got left behind. Those who deferred too little got eaten. Natural selection did not favor the independent thinker. It favored the obedient survivor. But here is what evolution did not account for. The modern world is not a tribe of 150 people where you can smell deception. The modern world is a machine of 7 billion strangers, where authority can be manufactured, purchased, and worn like a costume. And the people who understand this are not using it to keep you safe. They are using it to keep you compliant. Let me show you how deep this goes. In 2004, a man walked into a McDonald's in Mount Washington, Kentucky. He was not a police officer. He was a phone scammer. But he called the restaurant pretending to be a police officer and told the assistant manager that one of her employees had stolen money from a customer. He instructed her to strip search the employee. She did. Then he told her to call her fiancé to guard the employee. The fiancé arrived. The phone voice then instructed him to perform increasingly degrading acts on the employee over the course of 3 hours. In a McDonald's back office, surrounded by coworkers, nobody questioned the voice on the phone. Why? Because the voice claimed to be a police officer. The assistant manager later told investigators she did not think she had a choice. The uniform was invisible, but it was enough. This is called the strip search phone call scam. It happened over 70 times across 30 states. The authority signal bypassed the critical thinking circuit entirely. The brain heard uniform. The brain obeyed. But it is not just criminals exploiting this. It is institutions. It is systems. It is the architecture of corporate liability and daily life. Consider the pharmaceutical industry. In 1996, Purdue Pharma released OxyContin. They knew it was highly addictive, but they did not sell it with data. They sold it with doctors. Thousands of physicians were recruited, trained, and compensated to prescribe it. Those doctors wore white coats. They had diplomas on walls. Patients took the pills not because they understood the biochemistry of oxycodone, but because a trusted authority figure told them it was safe. The result? Hundreds of thousands of deaths. The authority bias did not just enable the crisis. It was the delivery mechanism. Or look at the financial industry. In 2008, credit rating agencies gave AAA ratings to mortgage-backed securities that were essentially garbage. Investors did not analyze the securities. They analyzed the stamp. Moody's, S&P, Fitch. These were institutions built on the perception of authority. Trillions of dollars flowed into instruments that destroyed the global economy, simply because investors saw a uniform and trusted it. This is the authority bias. It is not about intelligence. It is about neurobiology. When a perceived authority figure gives an instruction, activity in your prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain responsible for critical analysis and risk assessment, actually decreases. Simultaneously, activity in your amygdala, the fear and compliance center, increases. Your brain literally shuts down questioning and ramps up obedience. It is a hypnotic state triggered by symbols. A white coat, a badge, a title, a logo. And once triggered, you become suggestible in ways you cannot perceive from the inside. The most dangerous part? You believe you are still thinking. The participants in the Milgram experiment did not feel like robots. They felt conflicted. They felt stressed. They asked questions. But they kept obeying. The discomfort was not a signal to stop. It was a signal that the authority was real. Because if the order were truly wrong, surely the person in charge would not be giving it. This is the circular logic of the bias. The more wrong it feels, the more right it must be. Because authority would not steer you wrong. Would it? Now let me take you somewhere darker. The Stanford Prison Experiment of 1971. Philip Zimbardo recruited college students and randomly assigned them to be prisoners or guards. Within days, the guards began abusing the prisoners. Not because they were selected for cruelty. They were selected by a coin flip. But the uniform, the sunglasses, the baton, the title of guard transformed ordinary psychology students into monsters. Zimbardo had to stop the experiment after 6 days. Not because the prisoners rebelled. Because the guards would not stop. The authority bias does not just make us obey. It makes us cruel when we are in power, and submissive when we are not at SO. How do you defend against it? How do you know when the uniform is legitimate and when it is a leash? The first answer is uncomfortable. You cannot trust your gut. Your gut is the problem. Your gut has been calibrated by 200,000 years of tribal survival to defer to hierarchy. Your gut is not a lie detector. It is a compliance detector. So, you must build a firewall. And the firewall is not knowledge. It is procedure. When a police officer asks to search your car, your gut says comply. Your procedure should say, ask for the warrant. When a doctor prescribes a medication, your gut says trust. Your procedure should say, ask for the mechanism of action, the side effect profile, and the alternative treatments. When a financial advisor recommends an investment, your gut says defer. Your procedure should say, show me the fee structure, the conflict of interest, and the historical performance. The authority bias thrives on speed. It wants immediate compliance. The moment you introduce a pause, a question, a request for documentation, you break the spell. The uniform loses its power when it is forced to explain itself. But there is a second defense, and it is harder. You must become aware of how you wear uniforms. Your job title is a uniform. Your degree is a uniform. Your social media verification badge is a uniform. If you are not careful, you will use these symbols to extract compliance from others without earning it through actual competence. Social media has democratized the uniform. Anyone can wear a lab coat in a video. Anyone can display a fake diploma. The algorithm does not distinguish between real authority and performed authority. It only distinguishes engagement. This is why understanding the authority bias is not an academic exercise. It is a survival skill. The most sophisticated scams, the most devastating propaganda, the most insidious abuses of power do not target your greed or your fear. They target your respect. What is the way out? It is not cynicism. It is conditional trust. When you meet someone in a uniform, ask yourself one question. Would this person still deserve my attention if they were wearing jeans and a t-shirt? If the answer is no, you are not responding to competence. You are responding to a costume. And costumes can be bought. The Milgram Experiment is not history. It is a mirror. And the face looking back is yours. The only difference between the participants who went to 450 volts and the ones who stopped was a single moment of conscious interruption. That moment is available to you. But it does not arrive by accident. It arrives by practice, by rehearsing the pause, by treating every uniform as a question mark rather than a period. The man in the lab coat is still standing there. He is in your notifications. He is in your inbox. He is in the news anchor's tone, the doctor's office, the police cruiser, the corporate memo. He is not going away. But neither are you. And you have something he does not, the knowledge of what he is doing, the awareness of the switch he is trying to flip. Do not let him flip it. Not because you are rebellious, but because you are awake. And awake people do not deliver shocks to strangers just because the uniform says so. The experiment continues. The question is, will you continue with it? Or will you be one of the few who finally decisively says no?